learned early on that not only did I make zero money on a stage, that I actually paid to
Yeah,
do
it
those
costs
stages.
money to do the job.
Yeah. So I'm like,
It's
oh, I
great.
was $200 in the hole. Like, okay, so that's when you go, okay, so that really helps you with your prices when you allocate your expenses to each project.
Welcome to another episode of the Staging Insider. I am Felicia Pulley, the creative director at the Real Estate Staging Association. And today I am excited because I am talking to Addie Ashworth. I met Addie a couple months ago in Atlanta at RESA Connect, and right away I fell in love with her energy. I heard a little bit about her background before staging, and I knew I had to have her on the podcast. So, without further ado, welcome, Addie. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
I am
Very,
good.
very good. Very good.
So, where are you located? Where's your staging business based out of?
Columbus, Ohio.
All right. What's the market like in Columbus, Ohio? Are agents there used to staging? Is it something that's newer, would you say?
I think they're used to it, but I think that it's still newer. If you could be
Yeah,
both, right?
it could be both,
Um, I
definitely.
mean, I feel like there's still that 50% that get it, understand it, love it, push it. And then there's the other ones that they've been in real estate for 50 years and they've never had a stager and they don't need a stager. So they're the ones that don't totally see it, right? So I think that it's a mixed bag still.
Well, that's nice that you've got some that get it because, I talk to stagers from all over, and there's like 20% that I swear think that they're like nobody else and their market is, like no one else. Everyone is like a California market in their eyes. I'm like, no, every single market, even in California, which is where I'm from originally, there's people there that you say staging, agents even, and they're like, huh, what's staging? So there is
Huh.
room to educate agents and sellers in every single market, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you recently became certified to teach the Staging to Sell What Every Agent Should Know course. Am I right about that?
Yes. So they did that probably 2 years ago. And it just kind of seemed like a natural fit for me. I've done a lot of training in my past career. So when that came up, I was thinking, okay, as you know, I have my real estate license, right? So um, not to say anything bad about home inspections and mortgages, but we all in ethics and law, we had to take all these CE courses that to me were just really boring. And I think I was like, there's a lot of realtors out there that would absolutely love the idea of something different. And a lot of us, this is kind of like our favorite part is the staging part of it. So and with me naturally just being a trainer in my past, I thought this is just kind of a win-win. So, as Shell always, told us in all of our training was you are not there to promote your business. You are there to promote. I think she said about 87 times in the training that you're not there to promote your business. You're there to really explain what the staging industry is about and why it is important. And that's what I do. But the way I look at it too is if one of those people in that room needs a stager, who are they going to call? They're going to call the one that just gave them the CE class, right? So it just kind of made sense. It was a great way for me to meet some more people. And yeah, I mean, I've only done a few. And last year I had like 5 of them planned and we just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed because our business was growing. So it's hard to fit everything in, but it's definitely I want to get back to it.
So you mentioned some previous careers as you talked about being an agent. When did that take place in your career history? Did you do that right out of high school, right out of college? Did you have a previous career before you were in real estate? Let's
Can we just take you back to the beginning?
go to the very beginning,
Okay, so I was born on, I'm just kidding.
right?
So
Let's go back to when you were in pigtails,
I know, and I totally had pigtails, trust
right?
me.
Didn't we
Ever,
all?
I know. No, I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and I went to college for fashion design school
Ooh,
at FITM.
okay.
So Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I had it narrowed down between FITM or FIT in New York, and I was like, snow, sunshine. Like, which one do I want? And I was like, ooh, surfer boys. Being a total girly girl, I'm like, ooh, I want surfers and I want sunshine. So went out to Los Angeles to go to fashion design school. I knew from the time I was 7 years old that I wanted to be a designer. And so I went out to Los Angeles. I went to FITM. And then shortly after, when I graduated, or no, actually, when I was in school, I I realized I love the idea of design, but I realized that that wasn't really where my passion was. And I think I was remember sitting in class and kind of looking around me going, oh yeah, they're so much better than I am at this. So there was just like that feeling like, okay,
Imposter syndrome a bit.
yeah, I'm like, I just don't like, I love it, but I don't know if I want to do this as a career. Well, they offered merchandise marketing management, a program I have no idea if that even still exists, but it was more about retail design, visual merchandising, and marketing. And I took just a couple little classes in it and I just fell in love with it, especially visual merchandising. So I switched majors and majored in that. So so my entire career has been in visual merchandising and store design. That's what I have been doing my entire life until this happened. So I
When you
started out,
decided to make the switch in your college career path, how far along were you?
well, it was only a 2-year school. So it's
Okay.
just an associate's degree. So
Mhm.
I think I got a minor in design again,
Yeah.
long time ago, but I got a minor in design. I think it was only like a year and a half into it. I was almost done with design. And
It's
then I
funny
was,
because I have a similar story because I went to
yeah,
film school, Academy of Arts in San Francisco, and I had a background of that since high school and thought, okay, I want to be an editor because I thought that's where the control lied. And so I spent most of my college career doing that, and then at the last minute decided, you know what, I don't really want to sit in a dark room with a bunch of smelly boys and have somebody else tell me what to do because actually you don't get to control anything. You just have to do the work. And
yeah,
then I fell in love. Always had a love for staging because I had worked
yeah.
for a staging training company out of high school. And so I went for production design at the last minute. So everybody around me was like, are you crazy? You just did all of this time. And I was like, yeah, I'm not that crazy because I don't want to do that forever. So I
Yep.
already have
Yep.
enough under my belt where I could do that as a career. Kind of sounds like you had a similar like thought, like, oh yeah, that's not really what I
Yeah.
want to do. I'm more interested in the was it what part of it was it that interested you? When you went into stores, were you just drawn to the
Well, it was like
displays
when
or
I was little, I always said I wanted to have my own store, and then I
Mm,
also wanted to make clothes. Well, when I got to design school, I mean, we're drafting patterns and we're cutting and we're measuring. I'm like, oh my
mhm.
god, there's so much math. I'm like too much math. There's too much math. And oh my gosh, I was like, okay, I just wanted to make things pretty. So then I was like, as soon as I started like learning more about the visual merchandising piece of it, I was like, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. So the clothes are already there. You're just now merchandising and putting together and creating an experience for
You
people.
still get to
So
be part of the story. You're just like the one in charge of telling it and directing people where to go. You
absolutely.
actually have more control.
Yep, yep,
I
absolutely.
love that. And I also love that's like a little bit of a glimpse, I think, into the future of your career that you're able to pivot and make these big changes regardless of how much work you've already put into something. And
Yes.
I think kind of pivotal if you're going to be an entrepreneur. You have to
Mhm.
know how to pivot. So, what happened after you graduated college? Where did you decide to go?
So I got a job with Guess. Do you remember Guess
I
jeans?
do.
So I got a job with them. Back then they had merchandise coordinators is what the title was for almost every. So department stores were huge. Almost every brand in a department store had a merchandise coordinator. So you worked for Guess, or you worked for Polo, or you worked for Jinko jeans. I mean, like all of them that back then had. a merchandise coordinator where you work for them, and then you had an account, a territory account, and you would go to all of the different stores, department stores where they had shop-in-shops, and you would merchandise the shop, and you would train the store staff on at Macy's or wherever you were on how you merchandise everything and how it should be done. And then you go to your next store, your next store, next store. So I did that for Guess Jeans for a couple of years. In order to take that job, I remember they had two territories open. They had Columbus, Ohio, and they had Oklahoma.
Huh?
And I was like, don't know anything or anybody in Oklahoma. I was in LA. I wanted to stay in LA, but I'm like, if I'm going to have to go take a job somewhere, I might as well go home and do that. So I went home for a couple of years, did that. And then from there, I was just trying to get back out to California. I was just trying to get back out.
Fell in love with California.
Oh, absolutely. And then I was offered the Jean Code jeans came up because I remember I was offered a job with them. So I went, and it was in, again, long time ago, Denver, I think. So I went to Denver for a couple weeks, but while I was there and started the job I really wanted in Southern California was with Mossimo. So
Mossimo was the brand.
Yeah. And so then I went, and that was so fun because I worked out of the corporate office there too. So down in Irvine off of Sand Canyon. So so I went there, worked for them for a few years, and each one of these positions I was laid off. So, and it wasn't because I was bad. It was
even
because
the one where you were at for 2 weeks, or did you leave?
Oh no, I left. I quit there because I was like, sorry, I'm not really a jeans kind of girl. So I went out because I wanted Mossimo. But no, it was laid off because every time that there was budget cuts in any retail establishment, it was always visual merchandising. It was always the creative side because they needed the operations team, right? So it kind of like took this turn over the years where they started training and teaching the operations departments on how to do visual, which was really bad because those people are very operational. They're not creative. So visual merchandising just kept getting cut everywhere I went. Then I took the same job at Speedo. Swimsuits. So Speedo was not just like the racing swimsuits, but they were an umbrella of a huge network of all these different swimsuit divisions. Like they even made Calvin Klein and Polo, like all the different swimsuits at one point. No clue if they still do, but I oversaw them and that territory. Did that in Southern California for a while. And I mean, I was all over the place. And then I was even up in Portland for a while.
Oh.
So I moved a lot for my job, but I do remember my dad going, all right, do you need to go back to college and get a different degree? Because like every time I turn around, you're getting laid off. I'm like, I know it was just the nature of the beast, you know? So, but finally it all stopped.
Have any reason? Well, actually, let's see. After you moved around for a bit, you did land on one job that kept you there for a while, which was for one, right?
Yep. So there was a point in time where I was like, all right, I need to leave California. I don't know what I'm going to do. I lost my last job. That was when I was working at Skechers. So I got a job at Skechers.
All the cool places.
Yeah, I got a job at Skechers, and I loved it because it was, the corporate office was based in Manhattan Beach, and our office was it was like a block away from the water. So we looked out, we saw the water and the pier every day. And I was able to score a cool little shack because it was not nice, a shack, but it was right down on the beach. Oh my God, I remember I paid $580 for rent for this little tiny one bedroom on the beach by the pier in Manhattan. I can just imagine what it is now. But
you live it by yourself?
I did, but then I had a girl move in just because she worked with me at Skechers. She was like, I want to live there. I'm like, well, there's really not a lot of space, but sure, move in. But I lived there for a while and then decided, I can't remember why, but I decided I wanted to move back to Ohio for a little bit, moved back to Ohio, worked at, I left Skechers because I took a job there as a buyer. Ugh, I hated it.
It was not for you. It
was, again, numbers, not a numbers fan. Yeah. So I moved back, and then I took a job at the corporate office of Bath and Body Works as one of their visual people there. And then during that time period, I was also or it was before that or after that. Again, I can't remember the timeline. I took a job with Forever 21. And when I started working for the company, I was the district visual merchandiser for the state of Ohio. And it was kind of funny that I remember having the interview when she said, this is a district visual manager position. And I was like, how many stores are there? And she's like, 3. And I'm like, 3? Like there's a district visual in that area. So there was one in Ohio, one in Michigan, and one in Indiana. And there was only 66 stores worldwide. Wow. So started working for them, went from a district visual to a regional visual, and then ended up quitting there for 6 months because Bath and Body Works recruited me to work in their home office. That's how it happened. And I was kind of really tired of traveling at that point. And I had just gotten married, so I wanted to stay home. Yeah. Well, my husband and I went out to Los Angeles for vacation, and I wanted to show him LA and where I lived for all those years. And I had dinner with my old boss there, and she said, "So, Addie," she said, "I have an ulterior motive to have dinner with you." She said, "We are opening up a new division of Forever 21. It's called Furloughed. It's all jewelry stores. It's all accessories. There's going to be 28 of them off the bat. And I want you to be the visual manager in charge of everything, developing the fixtures, the props, just overseeing all of it." She's like, "Because I don't have time and I need somebody that can trust that can just run with it." And that was just a very hard thing to say no to. So we packed up and we were moving to Los Angeles, and within 3 months, we were out here. We sold our house and went back out to LA.
That's very impressive. So your husband left his career?
He did. He had a job of like 12 years, and he was like, "I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do when I get out there, but let's go for it. It's something that you really want to do." So we went.
So what was your favorite part of working at Forever 21?
The growth, I think. Well, there's a lot of things. So they definitely believed in me and my skills and my ability. So I feel like every day there was something else getting thrown on my plate. And I was all about it. Like I don't know how to say this, but it feels like there's a lot of people nowadays that, it's not in my job description.
Yeah.
Right. And that just didn't exist in my world back then. And I don't know if it was me or if it was multiple people, but the more work I got and the longer days that I worked, to me, that was success. It's pretty messed up if you think about it now, but like the more that they put on my plate, the better I felt. If I was going crazy and feeling overworked, I felt great, but it was definitely a sickness at the same time. But
I can relate to that on so many levels. I'm over here like,
yes. I mean, it was like, I know. And it was, but again, I went, when I started there was around 60 stores. And when I left, there was 667. So I was a part of that big blow up of Forever 21. I mean, so I had multiple promotions throughout the years. I had that visual manager, role overseeing the 28 stores. And then as that was kind of starting to dissolve and go away, my boss at the time was like, "All right, we're opening stores left and right. So we got to figure out how we're going to take our department of 3 people and expand it." So I was a part of that team that was like, "All right, here's our org chart." So many org charts I made over the years. So now we have a visual merchandising team, a visual operations team, a visual design team. And under there, you had a director for each one of them. And then we had different teams of teams and teams of under them. So over the years, I just kept growing and growing and growing, taking on bigger teams and more projects. So by the time that I left there, I was one of the directors that oversaw the visual operations department. And we had teams that were located in the office, and then we also had teams that were out in the field. So I had store planning, visual allocations, visual sourcing, and procurement. So, for example, the design team would come in and say, "All right, here's a drawing of a fixture that we want. Here's a drawing of a mannequin, of a prop." So then our team would take it and find it, build it, source it, bring it to life. Once we brought it to life, then the sourcing team would pass it over to my allocations team, and then they would go through and allocate it to all the stores.
Wow.
Based on, every store was a different level, whether it was a top tier, mid tier. So, your AAA stores didn't get the same thing as your C store. So then the allocations and the spreadsheets. So then our team would do that, and then visual communications. So then we had to visually communicate it out to all the stores worldwide
Mm.
how to set it up.
Yep. Send them a
Um,
diagram so they could build it in the store. So you were a
Absolutely.
part of overseeing a bunch of those little aspects throughout your time there, it
Yep.
sounds.
So all of those at one point, and then I had the field team.
Mm.
So that was all the district visual merchandisers and the regional visual merchandisers worldwide. So that's
Yeah,
when I started getting.
then it became it wasn't just a North American company. It
No.
expanded outside of North America, and you
Oh
were
yeah.
part of
Yep.
that as well. So you got to travel and see how different cultures were experiencing shopping and had to pivot and learn about that too, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I had the new store opening team was under my umbrella as well. So it was a team of about 25 people that all they did was they traveled from store to store to store. That's how many stores Forever 21 was opening, that we were doing at least one a week, if not multiple a week.
Wow.
So
How long
we had
did
a
that
team.
last?
I mean,
That's great.
it lasted for a while. I mean, it was a boom. It was a boom of growth. And so our team would travel, and I mean, it was then sitting in on all the new store opening meetings, right? And like getting those people ready, and like learning the caveats of all the different countries, and who should go to the
Yeah,
different countries, because there were some countries that weren't very welcoming of all the different people that we
right.
had on our team, right? So it was just a lot to navigate, and who was bilingual, and who could do that, who could travel. So um and then I had to go out and visit all of my regional visual merchandisers and all my district people, and I would travel from I'd be in Iowa one week, and I'd be in Abu Dhabi the next, and then China and India and everywhere. So
So that obviously was nothing that they taught you in school, if your school was anything like my private art school.
no, you
And
learn.
you had to learn that as you were in the role. And
Yep.
those skills obviously are so transferable, especially in real estate, because you're
Yep.
dealing with so many different cultures, people from all different walks of life. Would you say that the reason why, when you left Forever 21, that you decided to make the switch into real estate was for some of those reasons? Like you felt like the skills that you learned traveling and of obviously the merchandising stuff, to me, that's like a no-brainer. Like when I hear somebody that's been in merchandising or set decorating that has become a stager, I'm like, oh yeah, totally makes sense.
Yep.
You're marketing something visually and for the camera and for an emotion. But the other aspects of what you've learned, it seems like to me, I would think, oh, okay, yeah, I could do real estate if I had all this other experience. Is that kind of how you came about deciding to jump into
Yeah.
real estate, or was it?
Well, I think it was a decision that I was forced to make. It
Mm.
wasn't like oh, I feel like doing this next. I left when I left California. I left Forever 21 in 2015, which everybody was shocked because I was there for so long. I was there for about 15 years. Everyone was like, "I thought you were going to retire here," and I did too. But I was ready, and I was burnt. I was very burnt. and I did not know what I wanted to do next. But we decided to move back to Ohio, which I never said I would ever do either. Um, I just got to the point where I had no life. Like everything was Forever 21. We lived, eat, and breathed Forever 21. So, I mean, it was nonstop. So, ended up moving. And I didn't even mention this too, but when we went out to California, my husband was able to find a job with Forever 21. So everything in our life was,
No.
yeah. So
What are the chances?
I know. So my boss was like, so there's a warehouse next door, and we're going to buy that warehouse, and we're going to create a visual warehouse. So instead of us outsourcing props for the stores, because we did big, like we made like faux uh, cars and like faux, like when we opened up our big huge flagship store in Vegas, we made slot machines. And so instead of like outsourcing those, we just had a
Had
huge
art
team of
department.
people.
Yeah.
Were builders, finishers, and logistics, and we just made everything in the warehouse. So my husband oversaw that warehouse. And then, so we were very intertwined. So of course we'd come home and have dinner and talk about the day. And then he ended up going into the store construction maintenance department. So he worked with the team of like we had maintenance area supervisors. So he would work with them. So when there would be issues in a store and they need to have something fixed, like he would delegate that task. So he was kind of doing the same thing I was, but over the area maintenance guys
Yeah.
as opposed to visual. So
So it
anyway,
really never ended because I also met my husband from work,
yeah,
and got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to leave because we can't stop talking about work.
yes,
So
yes,
so you were the one who left. Did your husband
yeah.
stay?
Yeah, no, we both decided that we were going to
Oh,
move back to Ohio together. We were just needed a change. We just needed a change. It was
yeah.
just too much, and so we moved back, and and when we moved back, I was like, I just want to take some time off just to figure out what I want to do next, and that lasted about 2 weeks because I just don't know how to do that, and I started working for a job locally. It's a local visual merchandising and event planning company. So they were
Oh,
looking for a visual merchandising director. And what was really great was it was exactly what I did before, but on the other side of things. So we were the company that people hired when they needed a visual merchandising team to come in. So we worked with all kinds of retailers from I mean, Yankee Candle to all the local. There's a lot of things local here in Columbus. You've got Abercrombie, you've got BBW, you've got all of those. So we worked with a lot of those. So I did that for about 5 years. And then guess what hit? 2020.
yeah.
So 2020 that's when the pivotal moment for me happened. And it wasn't really a choice. I don't think I probably would have ever left real estate or left retail. Um, because that's all I knew. That's what I've been doing my whole life. In 2017, my son was born. And I don't know why, but in the back of my head, I was like, I don't think I'm going to want to work for a corporate or for somebody else forever. I was
Mm,
just kind of getting to that point. It took a very long time for him to come along into our lives.
yeah.
So when it finally did, it was okay, this is what matters the most right now. And working for these other companies, it was like that was who you that's you,
It
it was
became your identity. Yeah.
very much so.
Mhm.
And so while I was on maternity leave, I was decided I was going to take real estate classes.
Mm.
And again, because I don't know how to settle down, I was like, let's just go ahead and take real estate school. And didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. So that from 2017 until 2020, I was doing both.
Okay.
Um, I thought I would be a part-time real estate agent. And
That
that's
isn't
so
everybody.
funny because
Yeah.
that doesn't exist. People that get into, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this on the weekends. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't exist.
You wouldn't
Um,
be a very good real estate agent if you.
no. So, I mean, you have to really go all in order to make yourself successful doing it. But I wasn't at a financial point where I could put all my eggs in that basket. So I did a little bit of both. Then 2020 hit. And I was furloughed from my full-time job. And I was like, all right, so this is my sign. We're going to do real estate full-time. And then I had a good friend of mine that was a colleague that was another agent and said, Addie, why don't you open a staging business?
Mm.
And I said, dude, you're smoking crack. There's no way I'm going to open up a staging business. I'm like, she's like, why not? And I was like, because I'm a salary girl. Like I have been a salary employee since I was 18 years old. I have absolutely that scares the living daylights out of me to do that. And she's like, but Addie, she's like, you're already pretty much doing it without realizing that you're doing it. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, how many times do I call you and have you come to a house and help me pick out new light fixtures? How many times have I called you to help me pick out paint? She's like, what about all the other people that just will ask you a question because they know you come from that world? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know it would be awesome. And I thought about it and I thought about it and I thought about it. And I was like, what the hell? I'm like, because when I started really investigating and looking into it, I was like, this is exactly the same as visual merchandising, but totally different.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
It is.
So I'm merchandising 500, anywhere from 10,000 to 500 square foot stores.
Yep.
And putting plans together and walking into stores and giving them feedback on how to make their stores more successful and make more money.
Yep.
And I'm doing it exactly with Joe and Sally Smith, right? Yep. In their 1,500 square foot house. And it's the same thing, but totally different, right? So I started looking into it, started really researching it more and more. And just for some reason, just love the idea that, because some people were like, why don't you start your own visual merchandising company, right? Like, you're outsourcing that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, but I want to do something a little bit different. And that combination with real estate, it just was like, it was just this spark was just like, this just makes sense.
Yeah.
So
as an agent, were you a listing agent or a buyer's agent, or were you doing both?
Both.
On whatever would come.
Yeah.
So
whatever comes my way.
Staging with your properties before you became a stager, like either yourself or recommending it, or was when your friend brought it up to you, was that the first time you even considered it?
Well, to be very honest with you, for the first, from 2017, it was the end of 2017. So it was the beginning of 18 up until 20. So it was really only a year and a half to 2 years that I had my license and I was doing it part-time. So I really didn't really have a lot of like listings very much. I think if I had one or two, but I was just in the home helping them move things around and doing the occupied staging, not knowing I was doing occupied staging.
Okay. So that's kind of why your agent, the agent friend of yours, knew that you were doing that and said, oh, hey,
yeah,
you should do this.
Yeah. Okay. And she was like, look, here's the thing. She goes, I'm going to be listing my mom's house. And I've always wanted to have a little bit of accessories on the side if I wanted to, have a small little storage unit. So here's $1,000, go shop, go walk around mom's house, see what mom needs. And I was like, all right, give me your money. I'll go shopping for you. So we went shopping. I went shopping and she was like, all right, come in this day and just do whatever you want. And she was just so supportive. And I was moving furniture around. I was removing some of the rugs. I was adding new pillows. I remember making beds. I spent 14 hours at her house that day. And I left feeling so fulfilled and happy. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of when I was back when I first started, back when I first came out of school and I was doing all the hands-on work. And that was when I was the happiest. And I was like, that's what I've been missing, I think, is because when you grow in a corporate office, you grow, you have teams of people that do all the things for you because you don't have time, obviously, to get into the weeds. But those weeds is where you like to be. But I grew as a person as how to be a great manager and how to oversee those great creative people. But I miss doing that. So it just reminded me that was really a lot of fun. So then I just decided to came home and was like, all right, here's my logo. I'm going to do a logo. This is going to be my name. The next step was I started looking at just researching it and realizing that there was a lot of great schools out there. And in my head, I was like, I don't need a school
Right.
because I have been doing this my whole life. Like, I don't need a certificate. I don't need that. Like, I've got all these other, not to try to sound like I'm all high and mighty, but I have all this other backgrounds. Like, I don't
I
need a
will
certificate.
say that is a common thing that we hear in general. And usually we're like, well, you're going to need it. And I have a feeling that's where you're going. But
Yes.
your background specifically, I would actually look at your background specifically because you have a formal education. You did all that real world work that is transferable. And I'd be like, you maybe don't need it. So I can't wait to hear why you did.
I like the idea of having that on that little thing saying
Yep.
certified. I
Yes.
like having that accolade.
Yeah.
And I think I learned that in real estate. Like, any of the little classes that you take, you can put that. It just, and I always laugh because when I hear this in my head, I hear my son Buckley say it. Mommy, it just levels you up, like when he plays
Oh,
video games. And so, like that, like when he goes, Mommy, I just leveled up. And so when I get an accolade, I'm like, just leveled up. So I first one that I found was HSR. Um, did the whole program, and I laugh at myself now because I think you are absolutely like ridiculous because you absolutely needed that. And the reason why I needed it, and what I feel like you learned a lot, you didn't learn about a lot of like design principles and trends. It was more about the business of staging and how to run a staging business. And guess what? I didn't have a staging business. I never ran a staging business. So it was very eye-opening, and I was like, oh. Now, if somebody would ask me how to, do you want to take a class on how to develop a retail chain and run like a visual merchandising department? I'd be like, I can teach
I
that
could teach
class.
it. Yeah.
But
I
this
could
was
teach
totally
the
different.
master class.
I'm like, this was totally different.
Okay,
So,
good.
I tell anybody that's listening, do it. No matter what your background is, just do it. Even if you can take one thing away from it, do it. And a big thing is like, the pricing
Yeah.
and how to. I, there's a lot of things that you learn in this industry of like how to handle objections, right? And I feel like that's very important, but I feel like I got a lot of that in my past as well. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I think that it's just really important that you take those classes.
And you wouldn't know it unless you took the class or you had to learn it the hard way through years of experience and
Yeah.
error. So why not spend a little bit of money and a little bit of time to learn from somebody who's spent years doing it,
Yeah,
if you
absolutely. And that's how I feel about with RESA too. It's like
yeah.
you don't have to be a member of RESA to be a stager. But I mean, you just it's so it just makes you look and feel so much better knowing that you're part of an organization and that you're not just out there just willy-nilly doing everything on your own, that you can it's a community.
Yeah.
and and I actually just did a social media like thing the other day on like what to look for when hiring a stager, right? And that was one of them. It's like ask if they belong to any association. You don't have to, but I think that it just makes you better at your job.
And agents get that because to your point
And
about
they
the
are.
accolades that you learned how cool they were when you were an agent for that short period
Yeah.
of time. Think about those agents to your point in the very beginning, how you said there are those agents who have been doing this for years, they've never needed it. Do you think that they are going to be willing to work with a stager who's not a part of their association? Because those
Yeah.
old school realtors are realtors. They're not real estate agents, they're
Yes.
realtors. They
Yes.
belong to their association because when they started, that was the only way to do it. So, if anything, do it to relate to those old school agents
Yeah.
aren't quite sold on staging yet because at least they'll relate to the fact that you belong to your trade association.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's
It
the
just
reason alone. I mean, not to mention all the other benefits, but yeah.
right.
So after you took Audra's class, at that point, is that when you decided, okay, I'm ready to go out and get clients. like, where did you go from there? Did you decide to keep selling real estate, just
Yeah.
doing staging? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, so again, at that point, real estate was still very new for me, and I was still learning. But I had no other choice because I didn't have a job. I was furloughed, so I was like, and nobody was hiring. So I'm like, okay, so I might as well just start my own thing, which scared the crap out of me. But um, so I started. So I had the benefit of being an agent because I already knew a ton of agents. So I just spread the word and was like, guys, based on my experience, my background, the fact that I just got furloughed, this is what I'm going to do next. And everybody's like, we love it, Addie. I told everybody at the meetings, and then my manager was like, this is the not manager, but the branch manager was like, this is awesome. He's like, you need to go to all the other branch offices and do a breakfast sponsorship, like, and introduce yourself that this is what you're doing. So, and if anybody doesn't do breakfast sponsorships, do it. All you got to do is buy real estate agents food and they let you talk. That's basically what it is. Buy them food, they let you talk. So I started going around all.
Tax write-off on top of it.
I know. And I mean, it's great. So, so I went to all the different branches, introduced myself. You know, you think that 30 people are going to show up and maybe 10, but then it's on the web. Regardless, like, your name is going out. And because I knew all of these other branch managers, I even sent them emails and was like, hey, you know, I'm one of us, right? I'm part of the family. Do you mind sharing this email with everybody in your office? So then they would blast it out. And so then I just started getting people coming in because they loved supporting the person that's part of their family.
Huh.
So,
And were you doing just consultations, occupied, vacant? Like, what was your service offering at that early stage?
whatever you want, I can do. So I was like, I'm desperate. What do you want? What do you want?
Bye.
And who was the first vacant? I'm trying to think. And they're like, can you stage blah 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 blah? It was like 3 rooms. I'm like, sure. They're like, do you have inventory? I'm like, sure. Didn't. But I went out and I was like, okay, husband, I'm like, we need some money. So we transferred a little bit of money from our personal savings into a new account. And we were like, okay, this is all we've got. Like, my husband's not a risk taker. So he's like, we're not doing big old loans for a business that's going to fail. And he goes, so this is what we have. And you got to make it work with this. So I'm like, holy shit, the pressure's on. Right. But he also knew my work ethic. He was like, you'll be fine, you know? So, but it was still scary. So I remember I went out and just bought a bunch of stuff and I mean, you hear the story from everybody. You keep it in your basement, you keep it in your, and I think I started with accessories, you know, and then I went to the garage. And then all of a sudden I was like, woo, I need a storage unit. So then I think I got like a 10x5. I mean, it was super tiny, but it was
over here like, oh yeah, making moves.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was staging consultations, it was occupieds, it was vacants, photo styling, everything. And you know, I actually I helped design a retail store here locally in 2016, and soon after COVID, they had asked if I could come in and work 1 day a week while they were closed, just to reset the store. So it's a big, beautiful home decor store, and then and clothing too. So I was like, that's a way to make a little extra money when I'm not really doing anything. And so so they were awesome and we made little flyers for who I was, and they put them at the register. So then I got some projects through them, whether it was home decorating, which, you know, wasn't really too much, but it was more like holiday decorating. We did a lot with them. So I just kind of try to get my name out as much as possible. And then there were still some people that reached out to me for like retail design and visual merchandising. So my website was like services offered, like boom, like a million things. So, and
Anything
now
that you would think of that you
I'm
have
like,
done one time.
yeah,
Yes.
what do you want? I'll give, sure,
Yep.
I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that.
Add it to the
Um,
website. Add it to the website.
yeah, and we were doing redesign too, and I'll be honest with you, that's something that it's not really my favorite thing to do because I feel like those projects never have an end date. I feel like they just go on and on. It's like, okay, and scene, time to wrap this up. But
Yeah.
it goes on for a while, and I love instant gratification. I love the staging piece of it. I love Airbnb design. So I think that over the years, I'm kind of going, okay, we don't do that as much, or we do, but we don't push it as much.
Don't promote it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and and so over time, like, so last year, I think this is kind of circling back to your question. I um every year I was like, okay, so I'm a real estate agent and I'm a staging person, right? So I've got, this is one business, this is the other business. So there are two different businesses that I run. And then 2 years ago, I'm like, why am I running them as two different businesses? Why don't I merge them? So I changed my name from Ashworth Staging and Design to Ashworth Home.
Hmm.
So then home encompasses everything, right? So it could be real estate, it could be all those things. And then last year in January, I had this vision that I wanted to create a real estate team and then have a staging team, right? So I have one lead person that ran the staging, one lead person that ran the real estate. Last year, our staging just blew up. I mean, we just blew up, and the I had like 4 real estate deals, and I wasn't promoting it at all because I had this idea that I was going to do this, but I had no time. I was working all day long, all night long, all weekends. Like, I had no time for that. If a buyer came along, I'd be like, oh, let me give you another realtor to call because I don't have time.
Yeah.
So then, and then when I did work on it, it wasn't my most favorite thing to do. It was staging. I mean, why? Because staging is what I've been doing my whole life. That's my passion. That's my
Passion.
love.
Yeah. So what was it in that last year do you think that made your business grow so much? Have you been able to identify where all of this business came from, or
I think it was word of mouth, really. I
okay?
think it's word of mouth. And I was promoting it, doing a lot of social, doing some marketing.
Okay.
I belong to every realtor association in the area.
Smart.
Every single one of them. And, it's like what, $70 to join, something like
Now, when you say you belong, are you showing up to the meetings and engaging?
that. I did. And then I stopped.
Why? Because you got too much business, you didn't have time.
I just didn't have time. It was like, there was one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. And it's like, how can I go do these when I have to go do a stage? Because keep
Yeah.
in mind, all of the people that work for me are 1099s, right? They're contract workers. So, and a lot of them are real estate agents, or a lot of them are creatives that have their other gigs, their other true things. So, hey, who's available on Tuesday? Not me, not me, not me, not me.
So it's
You have
got to be you. Yeah.
a Rolodex of 10 people and no one's available. So who's doing it? It's me. And
Right.
then I have to find one other person to help me carry a sofa. So I didn't have time to go to these meetings. When I did show up at the beginning, I did meet a couple people, a couple agents that still are my loyal clients to this day. So it was definitely worth it. But there was also just a lot of other vendors like me showing up. There might have been like 20 of them in a room and 2 real estate agents, right? So it was kind of it just got to the point, just it wasn't worth it for me. But I still believe that you should belong because your name is still on their front page of their website.
Yeah.
So I did that. I was constantly trying to do breakfast sponsorships, lunch and learns, trying to do those. So
Sounds like maybe all of your networking and marketing kind of just caught up to you.
it just caught up,
Yeah.
but it still wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Okay.
So,
but you were already working to the point where you had brought on other people to assist you. When did that happen? At what point were you like, okay, I can't do this myself, just me and my husband working?
oh, he never helped. He never helped.
For sure. You two work
No,
together.
no, he has his own job. He
My
even helps me.
husband's in maintenance as well, and I mean, like, if I even try to move something on my own, he's like, I have to move that for you. I'm like, boy, I could do all this by myself. Before you,
No, and
I
then
did all of this by myself. So I figured yours was like my,
no, nope. When we moved back to Ohio, he got a great job as an account manager for a lighting company that actually distributes
yeah,
lights
okay,
and light fixtures and lamps for retail stores. So he again went on the other side of it where
yeah,
he's been there. So yeah, so he's got his own thing going on, and so it was always I had a couple girls that worked for me, and then they moved on to do
okay.
other things and have babies and stuff, and then or literally move, and then more people came on, and then they realized that it was hard work, and that I thought we were just going to make things pretty all day, not actually physically carry stuff, and that might not have been for them. So I've had people come and go over time, but it's not been a lot of great consistency because again, they had other jobs that they were doing. Um, so yeah, what was the point of the
So
question? I really forgot.
I had asked why or at what point you realized you need to bring on somebody, but it sounds like you've done that pretty early on. Maybe that's because you had this great background of managing people that's not something that scared you. Because so
Oh
many
yeah.
people I talked to, that's like something that I mean, I talked to somebody the other day who waited 5 years to bring somebody on to even assist her other than a family member. And so it doesn't sound like that was your story.
Well, how do you do this by yourself?
Very
Right? Like, how do
slowly. It's
you,
a slow growth that way. Yeah,
it's
otherwise.
literally like, who is going to carry the other side of that sofa?
Right?
like, like I have no problems carrying everything else, but I literally need somebody on the other end. Like the dolly's not going to cut it any longer. And then honestly, age. Like I started getting older, and I started getting major back problems, and I had back surgery in 23, and then I'm not allowed to
Okay.
carry anything heavier than a gallon of milk now, and I'm like, okay, I really need people. But then I still have a desire. We're not anywhere near where I want to be. And so about 6 months ago, I brought on my first real person, not real person, but I said, all right, you're pretty much going to be full time. And we just moved her from a 1099 because I'm learning like you got to have W-2 employees, especially for workers' comp. So we're moving her into that role. And then I still have about 10 people on a Rolodex, I say, that I call when I need help for bigger projects or whatever. But she has been, oh my God, the biggest blessing ever. Like her and another girl are at a stage right now, a big stage, and they're doing it on their own while I'm talking to you. And the fact that, you're able to break away and do these things is great. But I didn't have a fear doing that. I know a lot of people fear breaking away from it. Um, I I've managed people for so long that I can recognize like what your strength is pretty early on working together. And when I was working with her, I would just throw her in a room and be like, all right, here's all the things for this bedroom, do it. And I'd leave. And I'd come back, I'm like, looks good. But you know what I would have done different? Doing. And here's the reason why. And then we talk about those design principles and where your eye goes when you first walk into a space, and the triangle effect, boom, 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 right? Like so all of those things that you look at, and just teaching the rules of staging and why it's so different than decorating. and
Yeah.
and you can tell the people that get it and the people that maybe are better at like the logistics part of it, right? That love to help, and they'll even say I love to help, but when it comes to like putting that vase, that candlestick together, that's all you, girl, and they walk away, right? So
And that's okay
um
because you need those people too.
you need everybody with different skill sets, because if you surround yourself with all the one type of person, you're going to fail. You need everybody that has different strengths, then that way you can leverage everybody's strengths so you can be this amazing unified team. And so that's what I'm working on now, is creating that amazing team that
And you
is
still want to do the real estate team and the staging team, or
no,
is the real estate part, you're like,
no,
okay, get rid of that altogether. Want
because
to grow
I
team.
love I love the staging piece of it. the real estate, things are changing so much with real estate. I'm going to keep my license. I'm going to, continue reading up on what's happening in the world, because I have found that the realtors that I work with actually really like that I have my license. And it's funny because I've had other people like from other areas say, "Oh, how do they feel about that?" And I don't know. Maybe it's different here, or maybe it's just different. But I I actually get a lot of people that love it, because I see where they are coming from. I see the challenges that they're going through right now. I understand it. And when they speak to me in real estate terms, I get it.
Yeah.
Um, but they also know, if they know me as a person, I'm not talking about that type of stuff when we're in front of their client. I'm not, well, you should list the price at this. Like, I don't talk about that. That's not I'm not there for that.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to talk about that. I just want to talk about what we can do to make the most money for you, right?
Mhm.
Through staging, not anything else. So
Okay.
this past year, I just kind of was like, you know what, I'll keep my license. And if somebody wants to, if a family member or friend wants me to help, and I will, but I'm going to put all of my eggs into this staging basket that I'm obsessed with, and that I love, and that I'm passionate about, and that I'm really good at, and I'm going to grow it. So I really looked at my like my marketing dollars and what I was doing with different things. And one of my goals was to be a preferred partner for real producers.
Mm.
It's a huge, awesome organization. And I remember meeting with the girl that runs it locally about 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty, it's costly. Yeah. And I remember going, I'm just not there yet. And so this year I'm like, I'm doing it. So I am finally an affiliate, one of their preferred partners, and I'm going to start going to all the events, because I see other successful, vendors, that whether they're with insurance or home inspections or home warranties, all of those different companies. And I follow them on social, and I see how much they've grown because they go to all of these events, all of these real estate events. And I'm like, that's what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed by now, but I like to talk. I love to meet people. And
That's where you're gonna shine then. I mean, yeah.
and meeting people naturally, and just going to these events, not going to these events and being like, "Hey, my name is Addie, and do you want a new staging person?" Like,
Yeah.
it's not salesy, because I'm not a salesperson, but just
I was going
naturally
to ask
meeting
you about
people.
the sales part of it, so I'm glad you brought that up. Like
Yeah,
this
I mean,
your sales, your version of sales.
it's just connecting with people.
Yeah.
It's just meeting people and creating and building relationships. I know that sounds super cheesy, but it's true. It's like, people want to work with you when they know you and they like you and they have a relationship with you. I mean, if you're going to call somebody to come paint your house, you're probably going to call the person that you know, right? Like, not somebody that you just find
Met
off
on
the
the
yellow
street.
pages, but even though the yellow pages don't exist anymore, but you know what I mean? So I've decided that now that I've got a pretty strong team that I'm building, I'm able to then break away and go to some of these events to
Mm,
help bring us more business.
I love that. So right now, you mentioned you have one full-time person and then a Rolodex of others. How many stages are you able to get done in, whether you look at it a week or a month, whichever is easier for you?
Well, and again, we're still not that big, but we're bigger than where we were last year, and better than the year before. And when we were at the RESA Connect in Atlanta, I was talking to one of the girls, and she'd been doing it for so many years, and she was like 500 stages last year. And I was like, holy Toledo! And that's a lot. And she's like, okay, so how many years you've been in business? And I told her, and she's like, how many did you have your first year, your second year, your third year?
Yep.
I mean, we're really just going into the fourth year. I mean,
Yeah,
that's and
that's
I
new.
told her where I was, and she goes, "You're on the right growth pattern." She's like, "You will be where we are in 7 years." She's like, "Just you're on the path."
Yeah.
And so, so again, totally completely forgot what I was saying.
Well, since you mentioned the growth pattern, do you recall how many homes you staged in those first years and what the growth has looked like
Oh,
since?
the very first year was like 12 or 14.
Okay, that's not
And
bad.
I was like, this is really cool, and
Okay.
then last year we had over 100. So we doubled last
Wow.
year.
Wow.
So,
Really did
um,
grow a lot then in this last year. Yeah.
yeah, and I think we're on track. I got to sit down and like really look at like goals and numbers and how to get, do all that.
Yeah.
But
The
I
number
mean,
part.
I would love to have over 200 this year. I mean, that would be awesome. But you never really know. In one week, a few weeks ago, we had 5 in a week, which is a lot. 5 stages, not
Yeah.
that doesn't include these
Installed.
stages. Like
Hmm.
5 true vacant stages, which was a lot because we
That
could
is
have
a lot.
0 in a week or we could have 2. We've never
Yeah.
had a full 5. And then the following week we had 8. And then the 2 weeks after that was 1 and then 1,
Yeah.
so it was like, it just kind of does this. And then every time that it dips, you freak out and you think, oh my God. But then all of a sudden, then you're in the next week and everybody's calling you. So you just have to learn to ride with it.
Yeah. On that note of writing with it, you mentioned early on in the conversation that you originally liked to collect a salary, and that was like a scary idea of being your own business owner, not collecting that paycheck every 2 weeks. And so now you're on the other end of it. You are the one dishing out the paycheck every two
Yeah.
weeks. And so when there are these ebbs and flows in business and you've only been in the business for 4 years, how are you navigating sleeping at night? Um, first of all, and like where are you going to find community and resources to help you through those slower times?
Well, trazodone.
Getting technical here.
Way long time ago, I took Ambien, and I will never do that again. It made me wacky. I'd wake up in the morning and be like, what in the hell did I do last night?
Some crazy ambient stories. I was too afraid because Tylenol PM does it for me alone.
Yeah. Tylenol PM is good. It made me a little groggy, but
Froggy. Yeah.
a low dose of trazodone is a nice little way to fall asleep.
Mhm.
Um, so as we have been growing, it's not just it's so hard because every day you're just trying to hurry up and find people to work to get out there and do a stage. So you're constantly doing that, right? So you're so busy that you're not putting systems in place.
Yeah.
And that is another focus for this year is like I've had an SOP drafted for 3 years, and when I say drafted, it's in like my notes, right?
Yeah.
Just,
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to add that too. And then
You should watch. There's a webinar for members with Shauna Lynn Simon about building an SOP, and another one from Cindy Lynn. They're both free on the members only section. So that might give you the kick
yeah.
that to get
Well,
through.
I good thing is like I started writing it, and now I'm kind of like getting to the point where, and then when I was listening to your last webinar, well, what was her name?
Ashley?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
funny because in my head, so again, coming from corporate, you have a project, you finish it, you have a deadline, right?
Yep.
So when we used to write our SOPs for like, doing installations and visual
Yep.
merchandising and opening up a new store, it was, okay, we have to get this done. Okay, it's done. So I'm waiting to get it done before I release it. But then when
Girl, it's never going to be done.
it's never going to be done. And
No.
she made me laugh so hard. I was in my kitchen, like cooking dinner, because she's like, I'm adding to it every day. Not because I'm changing my mind, just something else comes up. And I'm like, well, Jesus Christ, that makes total sense because every day something comes up.
Yep.
And so I'm like, let me just go ahead and put it out there to the team.
Yes.
And then as it updates, which is going to be every day, we'll just update it. So
if you could even include your team in that process. And if you listen to Shauna Lynn's
I do.
that's what she talks about. Yeah. Because we do that at RESA. So we have a rule if we've done anything more than 3 times, we have to add it to the SOP. So
1000%. And that's one thing. It's like, as a, not a manager, but as a leader, like I'm it's a team, right? So it's
Yeah.
not me pushing down ideas onto them of this is how we're going to be. Every time I go, guys, I'm thinking of this. What do you think? Or do you have a better idea? Or, people always talk about suggestion boxes. I'm like, you don't have a suggestion box. Just text me. Like, what do you want to do? Like, let's talk about it. And let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's try it out and see.
Yeah.
And so anyways, systems have been like something that I'm been really trying to put into place. And right now when I reach out to everybody, it was always, it would be a text. Okay. Got a stage on Tuesday. Who's available? And then for whatever reason, like people don't really respond back to group chats as much or in text messages. So then I was like, I can get them to respond if I send individual text messages, right? So I'm sending them individual. So this is what I've been doing for 3 years, individual text messages. Then I have a little note about, okay, she's available from 9. She has to leave by noon though, because she has an appointment, but this girl can come in at 2, but has to leave by 3 because she has to pick up her kids. So I'm piecing together all of these schedules.
Yeah.
And I always tell everybody what's great about working with me is that you can have other things in your life because I can't keep you busy every day. And so you can have flexibility. Well, I have brought a lot of those people on that love that flexibility, but now, and a lot of them are real estate agents that help me, but now as we're getting into our busy season, they're also getting into their busy season. So now it's, I can't do that because of this, or, or they have they maybe left their big corporate job and now they're moving on to creating their own business. And so they're working with me when they're building it and they're slow, then all of a sudden when their business starts to take off, then I get them less and less. So I'm super, super happy for everybody. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I need people that are more like, this is their job.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're at a point where you're able to offer that a little bit more.
So I'm shifting. So when Elise came and started working with me, it was, I don't know how many hours I can give you, but it's kind of part-time, but I can use you a lot, but maybe some weeks it might be slow. So right now she's still part-time, but almost full-time, if that makes sense. So, but now like, I think that I have room that I could bring on a couple more of those people. And then I wouldn't have to have all that time being spent on calling all like 20,000 people when it's the same 3 people every single day.
Like, how much time are you spending doing that little jigsaw puzzle situation? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of time there that's wasted.
A lot of time that's wasted, but I don't have time to sit down and interview people, like, because we're just going constantly.
So we're like that at RESA right now too. It's like you just have to make the time though.
I know. And I go back to all of my years in corporate. It's like that would be what we would talk about every day. And I'm like, we got to grow the team, but when do we have time to do interviews? But
and train and all the other things.
Yes. So, and then you spend all that time onboarding somebody and then they leave, so then you're like, well, son of a biscuit. So now I'm really focused on trying to bring in some people that are, there every day that have open availability, and learning new systems. So kind of getting that SOP wrapped up so I can get online, but I got to share with you the thing that I recently, going back to the payroll. So then every week I used to, a long time ago, I used to just say, okay, tell me your hours via text every Friday. And no, back in the day, I'd pay them every day via Venmo every day. Then we got a little bit bigger and I'm like, okay, guys, we got to do this weekly. Well, I use the 17 Hats program for accounting, and you can associate your expenses to each project. So I like to pay them per project so I can see how much was coming out and going. And I learned early on that not only did I make zero money on a stage, that I actually paid to do their
job.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I was $200 in the hole. Like, okay. So that's when you go, okay. So that really helps you with your prices when you allocate your expenses to each project. The next thing I want to do this year is what I've learned at RESA Connect in Atlanta, was now I'm looking at my overhead cost for the year. And I want to take that, divide that up, and then spread it out by project and go, okay, I need at least this much on every project to clear that overhead. So that, again, I have a big to-do list.
And that's the part too, you're going to keep putting that off unless you make time for it because you don't like math. And that's the part that's going to make you the most money.
I know.
Do it.
I know. I know. So, so I took, so then I went from Venmoing everybody every week per project. So like if you worked 5 projects that week, I Venmoed you 5 different times. Then
Mhm.
if I had 5 people working and they worked 5 different projects,
I
whatever
see.
that math is, right? So
Yeah.
that's how many Venmos I was sending every single Friday. And
Mm.
then if you didn't send it to me by Friday at noon, then I forgot. And if you sent it
Yeah.
to me on Sunday, I completely forgot. So then people are like, you didn't pay me. I'm like, well, it's crap. So I finally went, I got new tax people and we switched me over to an S Corp.
Okay.
So with that S Corp, now I have to, and all of this stuff that I'm talking about, I'm learning. Like I don't know a lot about this because again, work at a corporate office. If you need something accounting done, you went to the department manager of accounting. And you're like, this is what I need. And they would take care of it for you.
Yeah.
So now I'm learning all those other things. So with being an S Corp, you have to have one person at least on staff. So I had to put myself on staff.
Good.
And then when I realized how easy it was to do that, I was like, okay, I need to turn Elise into a W 2
Yep.
for all these reasons that I'm learning, So I'm switching. So she just got switched over as well. So now, in direct deposit. So now she's going to be paid like amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that. And now just last week, I talked to my rep at my payroll company and they said, you could do your 1099s this way too. And I was like, well, sign
I
me up.
so does she now do her time clock through their system,
No,
or is she still giving it directly to you,
no.
your the
So
hours?
I was looking. So then my next thing, you just led me on to my next thing I was going to talk about. I dove into, all right, there's got to be a better way than texting everybody individually, asking if they're available. And then when they did, once I figured out who was able to work, then we had a shared Google Calendar, and which is great, but for whatever reason, somebody's like whatever they were using, like they wouldn't get all the updates, they wouldn't see the
Oh, yeah.
things. And
They didn't.
then for selfish reasons, I got one of those Amazon Echo Show 15s up. So then because my email was an enterprise email, it wouldn't connect to my Amazon show. So then I had to get a personal email. So it was just kind of a pain in the butt. So I started diving into it and I saw the ADP had some stuff too. And I did a free trial of all these different scheduling
Yep.
systems. And I landed on Connecteam. And
Okay.
I am obsessed with it.
I'm gonna have to connect the
Let
team.
me tell you why.
All right, let's hear why.
I feel like I should work for them. They believe in small businesses. And if you
Mm.
have less than 10 people working for you, it's free.
What?
Everything. So now on all of those different platforms that I looked at,
Gusto, ADP, all of them. Yeah.
and then like when I work home
There's a lot
based,
of them.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of them, right? So and they're all really good and they all offer very similar things and they all have different levels. So you can do like either just payroll and time clock,
Yep.
or you can upgrade to HR functions, or you can upgrade to this one. If you have less than 10 people, there are all like, so they have the payroll and the time clock, HR, team chats, communications. I mean, the
Wow.
possibilities are endless of what they have and updates that you can send out to the team, text messaging through the team. Every single one of those levels, the whole thing is free if you
Wow.
have less than 10 people. Now,
I will
once you
drop
add
that in
on,
the description for anybody listening or watching. I'll
it's
find it
amazing.
and I'll put a little note. So
It's amazing. I was like, okay, where's the catch? And then I was watching the video and the guy goes, if you're wondering if there's a catch, there's no catch. And I'm like, so really, like once you get to 11 people, then you start paying.
yeah, because they
So
want to give you the resources that they know you need so you could grow and then become a customer.
then, but that
Fall in
makes
love with that.
it's a great business model, right?
Love it. I love that.
But I'm telling you, it's awesome. So when they get on site, they can clock in. Now you can do a geocoding around it. So
Oh,
they
wow.
can't clock in until they're like at least like 500 yards away or something like that. So it prevents them from doing that. The problem with us and stagers, I don't know if a lot of people are probably the same way. You go to the warehouse first And then from there, you go to the stage. But if we're doing a D stage on one side of town, the girl that lives by the warehouse where the truck is, she goes and picks that up. But the girl that lives 30 minutes away and the house is 30 minutes away, she's just going to go straight to the house and meet her there, right? So the geocoding didn't work for us. And plus, I trust them. If you're working with people you don't trust, they shouldn't be working for you anyways. But you can clock in, you can process your timesheets, and then Connecteam has a sync that you can sync to ADP.
Ooh,
I haven't got there yet, but we'll be doing that too. There's also a whole HR area where you can put in your documents, SOPs,
Smart.
onboarding guides, and then when you update something, it launches out to the team that's been updated, and you can see who's read it and who hasn't read it. Oh, I mean, you got to check it out. It's really cool.
Especially for free.
I know. But even for free, like I still like their platform. I liked it better than all the ones I researched.
Huh. I'm definitely going to have to look into that. Maybe we could get them to partner with us and come to RESACon this summer.
It's really good.
I feel like that's one of those things that people are afraid of. They're afraid they're not going to be able to figure out. It's going to be too complicated, too expensive, too this, too that. But
yeah,
it's going to streamline your systems, make you more efficient. Eventually, it'll make you more money. So investing in something like that, that's free. Hopefully, it would make it easier for stage.
I mean, it's been great. I mean, you can send updates to the team. You can also this is like I've always been a manager, so I love like recognizing people and even and not like serious HR stuff, but just funny things, right? Like look at Kate carrying that couch by herself today, guys. Like you can send out these like funny accolades and like rewards for the day, and it shoots an update to everybody and you can send out memes and stuff. Like it's great. And then as the admin, like you can schedule tasks. Look, you got tasks that you can schedule. So we have a whole warehouse session, and every time I think about something that needs to be done at the warehouse, I just put it on there. So the next time they're there, they just work on that task. So, and they can add stuff too.
Do you have an actual warehouse now outside?
Oh yeah. So I went from the basement, the garage to 1 to 6 storage units, and they were all throughout so we'd have to go over there to get the sofas and go over there to get. So now we have a warehouse, but it's not how big is it? Is it a 2,000, 1,500? It's not big, but we're busting at the seams. And I think what I'm going to do, because I'm already tight, I think what I'm going to do is start looking for bigger spaces for the next year. But you know what I loved about it, it's in a great, it's in a safe neighborhood. It's a company that is they specialize in small businesses. So like the guy that runs the unit next to us is a fashion designer, and then there's a girl across the way that has like one of those mobile boutiques. So it's very good for us small business people. And so I don't know, it's a good space, but it's just not big enough yet.
And you adopted Stageforce last year, from what I understand?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago that we got Stageforce up and running, and I didn't know exactly like how I was going to go about using it, because I'd heard some people say that they just use it for the furniture, not the accessories. But I'm like, but that to me is like really important, right? Like that tells the story. So we have everything in there, and we edit it as time goes by. Like for example, like we've got wooden spoons separate from the Crocs that they go in, right? Well, now I'm like, okay, that's dumb. Let's put those together and let's eliminate one of those SKU numbers. So we started doing that. And then this past year, we started really using it as our CRM and putting in all of the agents' information. It's frustrating for me, and I'm sure people feel this too, but I hate having so many systems. I wish there was like one system for everything, but everybody specializes in something different. So as long as you kind of know, like even when we started Connecteam, like there's a lot of like team communication through Connecteam, but then there's also communication through Stageforce that you can use too. So I think it's just figuring out where you want that communication to filter through. So people don't get confused of like, well, do I look in Stageforce? Do I look in Connecteam? Do I look in the calendar? Like, where am I looking for this information? Like, where am I looking for the access code to get into the house? So, these systems are great, but man, I wish there was something that just was everything.
We all.
Yes.
So do you use Stageforce also like to pick inventory from home if you're working on a project, or are you using it just to keep track of your inventory and as a
Oh,
season?
no, 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 no. We create our stage plans in there. And that is something that just a few months ago, I actually passed off to Elise to start doing,
Oh,
which was a very, very, I'm great at delegating. I'm good at delegating, but that is your brand, right? I mean, like what you do in a house, that is your brand. And it takes a while for people to have that vision and see it. So she was like, I really want to do those. I want to do the stage plans. And I was like, all right. And so she did a couple and we discussed it and I walked her through how I kind of, there's always that formula of how you create a room, right? So I talked her through the formula. I'm like, this is how my thought process works, but that doesn't mean it's right for you. Like this, just kind of, this is the overview. But I don't want to limit your creativity either. Like I want you, if you have a different idea of like, we should do something like that on the wall, and we don't usually do something like that on the wall or whatever. Then let's go for it. So she did her first one. We walked through it and she did a great job. And we made a couple edits along the way and she did a great job. So now when we have 8 in a week, I'm not spending all day Saturday and all day Sunday working on these stage plans from home. I'm actually spending some time with my husband and my son and my dogs and doing things, and we're splitting that, right? And so and she's had a baby and she's like, this is perfect. So when he's napping, like she's working on it, and if we don't have a stage that day, she can still get some hours by working from
yep.
home and doing the stage plan. So and she's learned how to move the inventory into different buckets.
Okay.
She's learned how to add inventory and assign tags and so yeah, it it's a
That's
great
exciting.
tool. It's an awesome tool. Is it daunting to get set up? Yes. There's a lot of hours involved. Um, and I will give one person, oh, not one person, I'll give everybody one piece of advice when it comes to setting up Stageforce.
Let's hear it.
Before you have your person go through and take photos of everything, make sure you like their photos and the way they take photos.
Yeah, that's a
because
good one.
it wasn't her, it was somebody else that helped me a long time ago, like spent hours uploading these photos and I'm like, everything looked blue because she was doing it against a blue garage door and it had the sun rays reflecting and we had to go through and redo everything, and then when you upload them they're squares, so then everything was like really big and you could only see the top of something. So do a couple test rounds with uploading
Yeah.
your photos, make sure you like that first.
That's a really good tip and one that I haven't heard yet. So I'll definitely clip that one down to a little video and send it to everybody who's using Stageforce.
Yes. Yes.
Or-
I drop everything into Canva
yeah.
and in like an Instagram square,
Okay.
drop it into Canva, remove the background, just shrink it just a little bit, and then I drop it in and it's perfect.
Bada bing, bada boom. So, what part of letting go has been the most difficult when giving the creative freedom to your employees? Or is there no struggle for that?
No,
You know?
no, nope. It's just part of management. It's like give them a test, and if they succeed, then they're doing another one. I mean, they're just going to keep doing it. If I gave her a stage plan to do and it wasn't that great, we'd walk through it, we'd edit, we'd try it again. I wouldn't just say no after the first time. But if you get to the point where you realize that that's just not what that person is good at, then you either continue training or they do something different, you know.
Right.
But once you identify that that's somebody's strength, then you need to give them that. You need to delegate that to them because that is ownership. And when somebody feels connected to what they do and they're happy, then they're going to succeed and they're going to be better for you as a performer. And honestly, like, I don't want to work with people that don't want to be here. Like, I want to work with people that love this as much as I do. And the only way that you're going to love it is when you feel like you are part of the business, not you work for the business.
Exactly. So, where do you see the business going in the next year? Do you want to bring in another couple part-time people? What's
Yeah.
what's your growth plan looking like?
Yeah, I'm in the process of interviewing a couple people right now. And typically, I mean, I do it the same way we used to do it back in visual merchandising days. We like everybody's always like, "Do you want to meet for coffee?" I'm like, "No, we don't do that. We don't meet for coffee." Like we get down and dirty. We work together. And so this is how I used to do it with all my visual merchandising jobs in the past and all my creative jobs. We have a conversation over the phone. If we feel like if I feel like it's, and I'm very honest with people. There's been a couple people this past week that was wanting to leave their full-time jobs with benefits to come. And I'm like, you're not going to be getting that huge salary that you're used to. You're not going to get the benefits because I don't have it myself. We don't have that. It's a small company. You're not going to get paid $1 million to do this. Will you love it and will you have fun? Absolutely. But I just tell people right away, I'm like, I don't think this is right for you at this point in time. But then, but I if there is a connection and I feel like, okay, this could be it. I tell you the dirty part of which is you're going to sweat.
Sure.
You're gonna be freezing cold in the snow because it's been freezing. You're gonna sweat. You are going to carry heavy things. But while we're doing it, we're gonna have a blast and we're gonna laugh and we're gonna have a good time. So if you can get through that, and then the next step is a working interview. You just jumping on a stage with us. And I know that you don't know what you're doing. And I understand that. I'm not expecting you to know. But again, you can get a sense for people when you're working with them and they just jump in. And then if they don't work out, then you don't call them. You don't have them back.
Exactly.
You don't like not talk to them ever again. You just say, look, I think you're great, but I just don't think this is for you or whatever. So
Only 4 years in, I'm really, 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 really impressed by everything you've been able to accomplish. Like it's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. You should feel proud of
yeah,
yourself.
21 was when I really had my first job. So 21, so 22, 23, 24. So again, math, right? So that's been 4 years, right? Yeah.
Impressive. Being a working woman isn't for the faint of heart, especially
Well,
when you it sounds like you're a lot like me, where you take a lot of pride in your work, and when you get more responsibility and growth, you look at that as I'm succeeding, so you're never going to turn it down. And yeah,
I know. And I was just, thinking about just you were saying something earlier too about the transition from visual merchandising to staging. And when I said it was totally different,
but
but
same.
exactly the same. I got off track, but what I was thinking was, I mean, when we would tour stores, right? So we would create a directive out at corporate office in Los Angeles of how all the stores should look.
Mhm.
We understood that we had stores all over the world. So what works in LA does not work in Florida, does not work in Minnesota,
I
nor
was
does it
thinking
work,
Minnesota.
I don't know, nor does it work in China, or you know what I mean? So if we're showing, you know, for example, like if we're out in LA and there's no heavy coats, like there's going to be heavy coats in Minnesota. But not only that, but like when we would travel to like Dubai, India, like it's a different culture altogether. So some of the things that we had in ads in our marketing, you know,
No way.
Saudi Arabia, when we open up stores there, we had to make a whole new line of mannequins for them that had no heads. I don't know why, but they didn't. We had to create headless mannequins per our. So we had a partner that owned that we were like a franchise partner. The franchise partner over there said it has to be like no. You have to have all your clothes have to be on the mannequins, like all covered, right? And we had to order headless mannequins. So, but to my point, when you're traveling these stores, you have to understand, you kind of had to do a little bit of research of their culture before you got there and understood. Like there was, stupid me, like when we were at a store in India and they had something hanging at like the front door that wasn't per directive. And I told them they had to take it down. Well, it was some sort of like religious thing that like, I sound so ignorant, but it was something that like, that people put at the front doors
Yeah. To
for
protect.
yeah,
Yeah.
protection and stuff. So, and I was like, oh, sorry, so it was like, totally leave it. So you learn how to uh, talk to people,
Mhm.
and how I can talk to New York people different than I talk to my Midwest people. And you know what I mean? Like you have to learn how to talk to people. And that was something that was a great benefit for myself transitioning into staging, because especially when you're doing occupied staging consultations and you're talking to homeowners, it can be very tough. It can be very sensitive. Not every single one of those people that you're talking to is happy about selling. They could be going through something really traumatic. Or even if they are selling because of happy reasons, they might find you telling them that they need to change things. They might find that as a personal attack. So you have to learn how to say things that is not a personal attack against their decor and their design decisions. And you have to come at it completely opposite. Um, you have to come at it completely different and say, this is absolutely not about you. And I always give them a compliment. Even if I don't like their decor, I give them a compliment. And this one speaks to me very, I just remember this so well. I went into an older couple's home, and there was flower prints everywhere, like the chairs, the wallpaper, the carpet, like it was flower. And I walked, and we talked for a little bit, and I could tell like she was like a fun, like grandma, like, and then I go, what was her name? I can't remember her name, but I called her by name. I go, girl, you are a maximalist, just like me. I love this. I'm like, I guess if you came to my house, I'm like, it is pattern, 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 pattern. I love this. However, not a lot of people are cool like us. Not everybody's cool like us. We're going to have to take this down a lot of notches so people can see their things in this house. And she laughed, and she totally understood it. And later the realtor was like, I was trying to explain to her that exact same thing that you said, but all she kept hearing me say was, my style isn't good. She's like, I don't know what you did, but you framed it in a way that you connected with her. And she was like, you're right. Not everybody's going to see the beauty in what I see. And we're going to
Yeah.
need to take it down. So I also use this example all the time. And the realtors that use me all the time are probably sick of hearing me say it. But I always tell people, I say, you may have an awesome style eye. So there's 3 Ds: declutter, depersonalize, and de-style, right? So the de-style is the one thing that people forget. So you may have the most years back when, not years back, because I know some people still like it, but when modern farmhouse, was a big thing, right? So everybody had it, and there you'd walk into somebody's house. It was absolutely wonderful, but there was a word sign everywhere, like pantry and fresh eggs and kitchen and all of these things that are screaming farmhouse. And it may be beautiful, but what if that one buyer that fell in love with your house outside at the curb hates that style, and they love mid-century modern? They're going to walk in here, turn around, and walk out because all they see is that. All they see is your style. So we have to bring it down. We have to make this, you can still have a few pieces, but we have to make it super transitional so people can see their things inside the house. It's the same thing that we say all the time. But we take that store walkthrough that I did back in the day. I'd go to the stores in the other countries, and the regional managers and district managers and the store teams, they'd all come together, and we'd stand at the front of the store. We look at the mannequins in the window first, and we would say, all right, what do you guys see? No, don't look at anything else. Just look at your windows. What do you see? Well, we got some dust bunnies in the corner. That mannequin shirt's falling off. And I'm like, okay, so now translate that to staging. It's the same thing. Stand outside. I don't even go inside people's houses until we talk about what's on the front lawn. And I'm like, what do you see? Then we walk inside. When we'd walk inside with retail, I'd say, look up, look around. What do you see? Where does the 3 things that your eye goes to the most? And that should go into some sort of triangle effect that will lead your eye throughout the store. That's what the buyers need to do. I use that exact same philosophy when we're at the front of someone's house. Where's your eye going? What's your eye seeing? And I'll say, okay, this is what I saw. I saw that stain right there on the floor, or whatever it is, and really we want them to look at, oh my God, look at that view out in the back. And you've got tinted windows. Let's rip that tint off the windows. Look at that view out there. So it's the same philosophy. So anybody that's in visual merchandising, if, because it's sad, but visual merchandising is dying. I mean, all the stores that are closing out there, I mean, it's sad and it's transitioning.
One of them. They're
Oh,
closing Forever 21 by me. I just read about it like 2 weeks ago. I was like, no.
well, so they filed bankruptcy and they closed years
Wow.
ago. Like,
Yeah.
and then a company rebought them and they started slowly opening up stores again. But like Joanne Fabrics, like all these places
Yeah.
are closing. So, and then even when I was there, it was transitioning from hands-on visual merchandising to computer generated. But in fast fashion, that wasn't impossible. That was completely impossible because everything was moving so fast. And so you had to be there and you had to be on site. So anybody that's out there that's in the world of visual merchandising, I mean, this could be a great career path for you. I
Absolutely.
mean, and if anybody's out there that wants to talk to me about how that transition works, they can give me a call. I mean, it's an awesome way to transition into your next career.
Well, well, man, we've spent like over 2 hours now on this. I just looked up and like, holy smokes. You're like
I
me. You
told you
and I
when you
could
said
go
an
on
hour,
and
I'm
on.
like, oh gosh, yeah, I'm telling you, you're gonna have to do a lot of editing because we do a lot of talking.
It's all right. I like to just put it out there as is. I just really edit only to like frame us in different ways, but I like to tell the story as is. And we didn't have anything that we need to cut out. We didn't get weird or inappropriate.
I mean, I lost my train of thought a few times, but I think that
Hey,
that's
that's
kind of
okay.
that's kind
I
of
could probably
common,
clean that
right?
up a little bit. Do you have any last minute thoughts or advice to anybody that's listening? Any intentions that you want to make clear to anybody that's thinking about getting in this industry before?
Um, I just think just perseverance, just knowing that it's not going to all come at you at once. I think that I had a little leg up because I already had my license. So I already knew a ton of realtors. So when I see in the groups and the chats of people that are like, how do I even get business? I think that is got to be a lot harder if you don't know a lot of real estate agents. But you can, I mean, there are just keep reading these chats and becoming involved and there's those key people that are always in the Facebook groups that like always have the best advice. And I just commented on one of Michelle's comments the other day and I was like, can we seriously write a book for the things that you say? Because even though I feel like I've got great experience, like she has experience in this world. And I swear to you, I'm like, just the other day, I literally copied and pasted it. I'm like, I'm going to start creating like a list of like what she says because she says it so well. And uh, so get involved in the chats and get involved in what's going around in and around your community. If you see, reach out to the local brokerages. They love, like I said, food. All you have to do is offer to give them some food and they'll let you speak for a couple minutes. Never come at things as salesy. Bring them something of value that they, and just be authentic. I mean, just be yourself. Don't read from a script. Um, get yourself out on social, but again, don't sound like you're salesy. Um, Also, join your local organizations. Oh, and the other thing too, if you're driving by and you see an open house, go to the open house.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
always a realtor that's running that open house. Go in there, meet that person, and I'm pretty sure you can do this through Zillow too. But you can look on the MLS or you can look at on whatever your listing service is,
Oh,
or
right. Mhm.
and you can see how many days on the market homes are on the market for, how long if they're sitting vacant, or you might look at it and go, ooh, that needs an occupied stage. So create something that shows your before and afters for an occupied stage, how long it's sat on the market, when you came in and you did it, how quickly it went into contract, get some stats pulled together. That is your piece, that because people, they're realtors, they want numbers, they want facts. So get something together and start shooting that stuff off to the people that are there. Some of them will completely ignore you.
Yeah.
Some of them might not. Some of them
Yeah.
might actually, reach out to you, and pick up the phone and make a phone call too, because realtors get slammed with like text messages all the time about buying ad space and selling you things. And I mean, it is all day long. Health insurance, the amount of text messages I get, somebody trying to sell me health insurance, is probably at least 20 a day. So we're going to probably, like, there's a lot of text messages that I ignore. So be a little bit more authentic and maybe just call them.
Yeah.
Woo, who does that anymore, right?
Yeah, right. Show up to their
Yep.
list, show up to their
Yep.
office. And if you
Yep.
don't have stats yet, if you're that green, because you all start somewhere, RESA
Yeah.
does have stats. So utilize the RESA national stats until you get your own. If you don't have your own and you don't have a method of tracking it and you don't want to come up with a method of tracking it, we did partner with Staging Studio. They are an accredited education provider, and they've put together a Google Sheet where you could collect all of that data, and it has formulas that are already built into it. So it'll actually tell you on another sheet like what the percentage of the properties that you staged that sold over lists was and all of that fun stuff. So don't avoid doing it because you don't have the resources. Find the resources. All of those that I just mentioned are free with your membership for only $190 a year. So literally no excuses. That's like $17 a month. And if you do that early on, I think that you will find that you have a much better time marketing your services. Because to Addie's point, realtors just want to know the bottom line. They want to know the numbers. They want to know how you're going to help them sell their properties quicker for more money and what's going to set them apart from all of the other agents that are out there. So,
You know what? I'm not going to keep talking, but
no, you're good.
what we just recently did with Stageforce,
Yeah.
I said we started working into our CRMs. I had kept my own separate spreadsheet that all of my stats.
Yep.
Now I'm putting all of those stats into Stageforce because I'm sure you probably know, or maybe you don't, but you can put all your stats into Stageforce and then you can run your analytics and then boom, it's right there for you.
Yep.
It does it all for you. And it tells you all your stats that you need. And I was like, why was I doing this for 2 years in a spreadsheet when it was doing this, when it could have done this for me? So I think I'm still diving in even deeper and deeper into Stageforce to see all these wonderful things that it offers. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. So when you buy these tools, utilize them. Yep.
I can't agree with that more. I can't count on the number of my fingers how many times a week I get somebody calling me that's a member that's looking for something or thinks that something doesn't exist, and I'm like, hey, that comes with your membership. You're already paying for it. Or hey, you have Stageforce, you said? Oh, yep, they could do that for you. Oh, you had training with Audra, she's got a template for that. So pick around all of the resources you've already paid for because people have done the work for you. And you're busy and you're trying to do a million things. So yeah, don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
So I am so happy, Addie, that you spent the last 2 hours of your day with me. I think I enjoy you even more than I thought that I would. I knew I was like, okay, I like her energy in person. I liked it even more once I started reading your answers for my questionnaire. And through this conversation, I could just tell that you're going to be a rock star in this industry. I don't think you're going to be going anywhere but up, 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 up. And I'm really glad that you have allowed RESA to be a part of your staging journey. And thank you for allowing me to tell just this beginning part of your staging story.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun. And when you said, do you want to be on a podcast? I was like, really? Like me? so it was fun. I appreciate it. I'm definitely not one of those high producing stagers that you typically have on your butt on your podcast. However, I could probably relate to a lot of the middle of the road folks because there's
Yeah.
a lot of us out there.
There's a lot more of the middle of the road folks than those that are producing
Yep,
entire homes. And I've
yep.
been around since 2005. And I will say in the last like 3 or 4 years that there's been a huge growth in this industry of people with employees and running like legit full on businesses with benefits and all of that stuff. So those of you who aren't at that point, don't be intimidated because most of you are more running businesses like Addie. And that's why I wanted to bring her on today because everybody has a story and everybody's story can inspire someone. So if you've been inspired by Addie, if you want to learn more about her, you want to shoot her some questions, I'm sure she is an open book. And I will drop her contact information, including her Instagram and her website below. And for the rest of you, I can't wait to have you listen in on the next episode of the Staging Insider. This podcast is brought to you by RESA and wouldn't be here if it wasn't for dues paying members like Addie. So if you haven't joined RESA yet, please consider joining. It's only $190 a year, and you can find out about all of the benefits at the Real Estate Staging Association.com. Until next time, happy staging.